Land Rover Range Rover Velar, a fashion-forward SUV that's home at both the Symphony Hall and the great outdoors, even if the closest thing it sees to a forest are tree-lined streets. Now, to make a bolder statement, I submit this for your scrutiny: the Velar SVAutobiography Dynamic Edition. Like an Arc'teryx Gore-Tex tuxedo, it's perfect for formal outdoor adventures, maybe even a drag race. So with a name like Velar SVAutobiography Dynamic Edition, I don't make these names up, people, you would assume this is a very quick vehicle. It does have a V8, but does it go off-road? It is a Land Rover. I'm here north of Los Angeles to discover that and much more. SVO is Jaguar Land Rover's Special Vehicles Division in Coventry, England, where final assembly of special vehicles like this are completed. Autobiography means it's the fanciest of Land Rovers. Dynamic Edition means, under the bonnet, there's a 5-liter supercharged V8 with 550 horsepower, 502 pound-feet of torque, and this engine note. All other Velars make do with V6s. The 8-speed quick-shift transmission gets SV calibration. Yes, you can shift here. They feel great. Drive modes cover everything from performance to various off-road settings. Finally, a new front bumper better feeds the V8 and cools the larger upgraded braking system. And there are quad exhaust finishers. First on-road. That really sounds great. In the hills above Malibu, Land Rover has mapped out a very nice twisty turning route for us to discover the driving dynamics. Right off the bat, you can tell it's surprisingly comfortable, but the big test, how does it go? That's 0 to 60 miles an hour in 4.3 seconds. Thank you very much. Yeah, goes great. And obviously the sound is terrific. It should move. There's 45% more horsepower over the P380 supercharged V6 Velar. And with proper tires, it takes curves without any drama at all. All right, here we go. Nice sweeper. This thing corners and handles better than any SUV or crossover has a right to. Would I rather be driving a Porsche Cayman on these roads? Yeah, of course I would. But, you know, if you have one vehicle and you need to haul kids around, this is not a bad choice. Bringing up Porsche, the Velar SV starts at around $92,000, and stuffing a V8 into a Cayenne means waiting for the Turbo S at a significant price premium. I also remember the Porsche being sharper when pushed hard. These roads are an awful lot of fun to drive, but not necessarily all that smooth. The Velar suspension, even in the sports setting, is soaking them up just fine. And remember, low-profile tires. I'll admit, I'm an electric car fan. I like their silent performance, but this, I'm gonna miss that. Of course, the Land Rover's gas bill won't be insignificant. The EPA estimate for this rig's 5-liter supercharged V8 is an average of 17 miles per gallon on specified premium. Yes, you will pay for that engine note. Oh yeah, and those brakes, they will stop you right quick. A quick gander at the upgraded cabin. It's really nice. Love the pattern in double-stitched Windsor leather. It's unique to the SVAutobiography Dynamic Edition. Massage comes standard. Special knurled aluminum knobs, too. Like all Land Rovers, all tasks will be done with the in-control user interface. It still has a little lag, something that hasn't bothered me all that much, though the display did blank out once for a couple seconds. Overall, it behaved in the short time I was in it. As far as back seat space, which is fine, and cargo room, which is fine, I'll direct you to the standard Velar video I did. There's a link at the end of this video. I'm kind of itching to beat up on this rig with David Reese here. I know that it can go very, very fast.
It can go very, very, very quickly.
But can it go off-road, really?
It absolutely can, because that's who we are as a brand. That's what
Top road speed is 170 miles an hour. I'll be taking it significantly slower here.
And then we use mud and rut programming a lot for off-road because it's pretty linear and the car reacts very well to it.
Sure.
And that's throttle mapping, it's gear selection. That will engage your hill to sync control.
And obviously the air suspension is
Yes.
at max.
It is at off-road height is fully picked up, yeah.
Okay. We start off without breathing hard. The road at first is not all that challenging. A Kia Soul would do just fine here, and it's only front-wheel drive. So this is what anybody would take their Land Rover on, even if they didn't want to scratch it up.
Absolutely.
This isn't too bad.
This is not.
Does it get worse?
It gets a little worse. We get a little more steep. We'll get definitely loose, and you'll get to feel traction control work.
Soon, things become a little more strenuous for the Velar. Think washed-out Forest Service Road. At this stage, I'm thinking that a lot of luxury vehicle owners are thinking, I'm going to turn back.
I think you're probably right. Yeah, I think most people who have spent significant money on a beautiful automobile are thinking, I don't think I want to take my car through this today. The car's incredible.
Yeah, no issues whatsoever. I have to say, throttle modulation is really good. Obviously, that has changed when you go into off-road.
Yes, when you go into off-road mode in mud rut, it tends to modulate it fairly well.
Yeah. As far as size goes, Velar is 18 inches longer than a Voelk, 3 inches shorter than Range Rover Sport, and half a foot shorter than Discovery. To be thorough, the Velar isn't really all that big.
It's not.
Which is nice.
It's a nice size.
Yeah. Is this as capable as the new Defender or even a Jeep Wrangler? Nope, especially as equipped with civilian wheels and tires. It can tow 5,500 pounds, so it's not just a pretty face. It will do chores. Do you folks have any data on how many people actually do take their Land Rovers off-road?
I don't know that we really compiled that in a looking at new car perspective.
Yeah.
I know a lot of events I go to when I'm not at work, I see a lot of Discoveries. I see a lot of second and third generation Range Rovers.
Sure.
Obviously a lot of Defenders.
Yeah.
And that will continue to increase in number because there's a new one.
Yeah. Velar shares its aluminum-rich architecture with Jaguar F-Pace, but even in SVAutobiography trim, it's more capable off-road, I'll assume. I'll admit, I've not tried this kind of motoring in the Jag. It is deceptively steep, people. You really don't get that from the camera. Slippery.
And a tight left as well.
But really not much of an issue. Yeah,
Not
that is
really
a
at all.
tight corner.
The turning radius is really good. And the center differential will lock up and unlock as you need to, because being permanently four-wheel drive, if we were to lock the center diff and the rear diff constantly, the car would not turn anywhere near as well. It would tend to push pretty dramatically when the rear end would tend to push the car no matter what steering input you put into it. So the cars have the ability, as we steer around the corner, the car realizes that we're steering, obviously. So it can start to taper the locking ability out of the rear differential to allow the two rear wheels to turn at different speeds, essentially, which is how a car would corner.
Okay.
Torque vectoring.
Remember, prices start at around $92,000. It can be optioned up past $111,000 if the special $9,200 paint job is checked off. Nice big boulder I would like to avoid.
Yes, I'd prefer that we not
in the very
not meet that
expensive
one in
Velar.
person. We also have all-terrain progress control in this car. Have you played with that at all?
I have not. Please.
So imagine an off-road cruise control. Essentially, that is what that is. So you would set, using the same speed button, you would set your target speed that you would like to go at 3 miles an hour and not touch the pedals. The car will accelerate and brake for you.
Handy.
It's
if you just want to look at the scenery and not worry about throttle application.
And yeah, I initially thought of it being that. And then we were in the mud one day. And there was a hill. I've been driving off-road cars for the biggest part of my life, and I could not get a Range Rover up this hill. Simply could not get it to do it. And after 15 minutes or so of giving up, I said, I wonder if it'll work. And it did. All-terrain progress control got that car up that hill that I couldn't do it.
Really?
It's
just that steady momentum.
It's thinking. It's essentially thinking because it's using the brakes, it's using the throttle. The car would go 3,500 RPM and gain an inch, and then start to spin, and then would back down to almost idle and just creep a little bit, and it would gain an inch or two at a time, but the thing went up it all the way by itself.
Computers.
I was absolutely stunned.
Gotta love them.
Yeah, I was It takes a lot to stun me in a car, and I was stunned by how well it worked.
Oh, very cool.
It is pretty amazing.
I'm glad I'm doing this in somebody else's Velar and not my Velar. I know that it can do this, but still.
It is.
I would tend to pamper my Velar.
Yes, and I know I would.
Yeah.
And I do my best to pamper these.
Very good. You brought it back without a scratch. Velar's pop-out door handles can be awkward, but the overall design definitely is not. This is a beautiful machine. Considering the younger me pinned baseball cards to my bicycle to get sounds from the spokes, the V8 note alone would sucker me in. The extra thrust is mighty appealing too, and it breezes over terrain that most owners would never consider crossing. A tip? Don't procrastinate if you want one in your stable. The SV Autobiography Dynamic Edition will only be produced for 1 year. The practical Midwestern raised boy in me understands that the on- and off-road ability of this SUV won't be tapped by many buyers, and there's the reputation of Jaguar Land Rover reliability, but darned if the Velar SV Autobiography Dynamic Edition isn't an appealing SUV. It's a hedonistic choice for people with disposable income and the need to travel town and trail with performance few vehicles can match. The venue where Land Rover held the event is the Calamigos Ranch. A lot of television and movie production is done here. I don't get much screen time of any kind. I'm too busy producing my own videos. Anyone remember seeing this in a show? Let me know in the comments. Full disclosure, Land Rover brought me down, put me up, and fed me so I could cover this, the US unveil of the Defender, and the LA Auto Show. I'm very much looking forward to driving the new Defender. It's quite different from the old one. The faithful might be outraged, but Land Rover claims it's even more capable and significantly more comfortable on road. And really, did anyone think it would be a basic utilitarian truck? Vehicles aren't made that way anymore, by any manufacturer, not even Jeep. Even David Reese, who's a classic Defender owner, understands the advantage of modern vehicles.
As a person who owns 2 old ones, I'm really excited about
seriously?
the new one. Yes,
I'm very envious.
Never meet your heroes. An old Defender is a phenomenally neat car.
Yeah, but I'm assuming a little bit of work here and there.
A little archaic in a few regards,
Yeah.
yes. But truly an iconic piece of equipment.
Hope you enjoyed my look at the Land Rover Range Rover Velar SV Autobiography Dynamic Edition. Yes, I did do that without cue cards. And if you enjoyed it, please remember, click subscribe and then that little bell for notifications so you never miss any of my car reviews, all right? All right, that's Driven. I'm Tom Voelk.